Christina, this is different.
No. Only the room is different.
Before they were captured, they were already deep in it. Christine Granville, Andrzej Kowerski, and Jan Marusarz were at work. Messages into Poland, vital intelligence back to the British, money to the underground, propaganda across the border, and men brought back out. Men who had escaped defeat and would one day fight again. The Hungarian capital was, at that precise moment, one of the few places in Europe where a person could still order coffee, read a newspaper, and plan the overthrow of Nazi occupation, all at the same table. It was, in short, ideal. Into this elegant chaos walked Andrzej Kowerski, Polish officer, veteran, one-legged, a detail which had done absolutely nothing to slow him down, and which Christine appeared to find entirely irrelevant. They met, they worked, and then, rather inevitably, they fell rather deeply in love.
You waited up?
You went over the Tatras again, without telling me.
I told you when I returned.
That is not the same thing, Krisha.
The information is with London. The men crossed safely. Marusarz is already back in Zakopane. What exactly is the problem?
The problem? The problem is that you could have been shot on a mountain in the dark, and I would not have known for a week.
But I wasn't.
That is doing very little to reassure me.
Come, show me what London has sent.
British intelligence would note this development, and others, with the quiet resignation of men who had learned not to ask too many questions about their most effective agents. To understand what Christine Granville, Andrzej Kowerski, and Jan Marusarz were doing in Budapest, one must understand what had happened to the world in a single catastrophic autumn. Poland had been invaded from the west by Germany in September 1939, and from the east by the Soviet Union 17 days later. The country had been divided, occupied, and was now being systematically dismantled, its intelligentsia arrested, its officers shot, its Jews beginning the long persecution that would end in horror. Hungary, meanwhile, had chosen a position of studied neutrality, which is a diplomatic way of saying they were watching carefully to see who was winning. For British intelligence, this made Budapest invaluable. It was a listening post, a way station, a place where information, money, and people could be moved in and out of occupied Europe, if one were willing to take considerable personal risk. Christine was willing. She had, it seemed, been born willing. Over the winter of 1939 into 1940, she, Marusarz, and Kowerski ran a network that smuggled vital intelligence from the Polish underground across the Tatra Mountains, including, crucially, early information on German military dispositions that London could not obtain any other way. They also smuggled out people, escaped Polish officers, downed Allied airmen, men who had refused to stop fighting and needed a route to do it elsewhere. London was extremely pleased and mildly terrified. January 1941. Hungarian police, acting under sustained German pressure, had been watching the safe house. They arrested Christine and Kowerski. The charge was espionage. The intention was transfer to German custody, which in 1941 amounted to the same thing as a death sentence. Christine assessed the situation. What happened next would become the stuff of legend. First, she bit her tongue, hard enough to draw blood.
Mrs. Scarbeck, you have been observed conducting intelligence operations against the Reich on Hungarian sovereign soil. You will be transferred to German custody. Do you have anything to say?
You need to listen very carefully to what I'm about to tell you.
I'm listening.
I have tuberculosis. Advanced pulmonary tuberculosis.
What is the matter with you?
I have been coughing blood for some weeks now. I did not wish to mention it. I did not wish to be inconvenient. You should also know, Andrzej has been in very close contact with me for many months. He is almost certainly infected as well by now. Tuberculosis is airborne, of course. It travels in confined spaces, small rooms particularly. Rooms such as this one.
A doctor was summoned. And here is where Christine held a card she had never expected to need. She had been told about it years before the war, by a doctor who had no idea he was handing her a weapon. Before the war, Christine had worked in a commercial office in Warsaw. Below her office was a car dealership. The dealership produced things. The record is not specific on this point, but what it produced, alongside its vehicles, was a steady output of toxic exhaust fumes. Every day, for months. Christine had breathed those fumes without knowing what they were doing to her lungs. What they were doing was leaving scars. Small, permanent, but largely harmless scars on her lung tissue. Scars that, on an X-ray, looked remarkably like evidence of tuberculosis. A Warsaw doctor had told her this before the war. She had filed the information away. As it turned out, she had filed it in exactly the right place.
I have completed my examination. This woman has significant scarring on her lung tissue, consistent with active pulmonary tuberculosis.
You are certain?
Hungary passed Act 6 just last year, specifically to address the containment of tuberculosis. The law exists because this disease is airborne. It spreads in confined spaces. It spreads in rooms, exactly like this one. A person with active pulmonary tuberculosis can infect 10 to 15 others in a year, simply by speaking. There is no effective treatment, no drug that works. Roughly half of advanced cases do not survive. You have had this woman in a confined room for how long?
Several hours.
I see. I recommend you open a window.
After careful consideration, the Hungarian authorities concluded that releasing both prisoners on medical grounds was the most prudent course of action. As for the Germans, who had, after all, requested the arrest in the first place. The Hungarians reasoned that if they wanted the pair, they were entirely welcome to find them themselves. Hungary would no longer be making any efforts in that direction.
Krisha, you are either the bravest woman I have ever met, or completely mad.
These are not mutually exclusive.
We leave, now. The Germans will be looking for us.
Christine and Kowerski knew the Germans were closing in. Leaving Hungary would not be simple. The borders were watched, the routes were closing. They had, however, survived considerably worse than a closed border. What awaited them next, and how they got out, is a story for next week.